Match found.
Stand in my way. I dare you.
A multiverse nexus. Enfin.
Gotta go! Go, go, go! Gotta go! I'm out of here. Go, go, go!
Right there. Need backup. Right there.
Gotta go!
Smoke's down.
Enemy shocking! Go, go, go! Return to block.
Concussing!
Light planted. Reloading. Enemy spotted A.
Blasting!
Reloading.
Out of here.
One enemy remaining.
Okay, time for a protein shake.
We won because
I'm
we
outta
were
here.
focused. Keep that.
Right there. Need backup!
I'll show them. Lintik kayo. Go, go, go! Shocking! Coming through! I'm out of here!
Smoke's down.
Gotta go! Wall raised.
Enemy A.
What is indeed?
Who trained you?
Too late.
Go, go, go!
One enemy remaining.
You had it coming.
Hey, Brimmy! Remind me to play you this riff I recorded once we're done. I think it's a winner.
go, go!
Launching smoke.
Enemy spotted. A.
There they are.
I'm out of here.
Down.
Spike down A.
Flash out.
Last player standing.
What did I say?
Now we're cooking. Down you go.
Just swapping in new fusion cells. Okay, my arms are good. We can go.
Reloading. Together.
Enemy C.
Reloading.
Reloading.
Launching smoke.
Gotta go.
Concussing. Clearing out.
Renew. My ultimate is ready.
Last player standing.
My ult's ready.
Trust me, they'll know what hit them.
Gotta go. Reloading. Habla tayo. I'd rather win. I'm out of here. Shortcut.
Smoke's down.
Enemy A. Watch out. Go, go, go. Shot. Gotta go. Reloading. There. Enemy spotted A. Bye-bye.
There they are.
I'm out of here.
Come here.
Enemy B. Spike is down.
Spike down A.
Can you hear me?
You will not kill my allies. Gotta go.
Gunner.
I got Spike.
One enemy remaining.
Running low.
That's the lot of them.
My ult's ready.
Let us see what they have planned for us this time.
Can someone get this? Thank you.
Focus now. Eyes off me.
Go, go, go! Shocking! Your duty is not over!
The hunt begins.
Here we go!
Someone put me on the...
Enemy C!
Launching smoke.
Trevor! Blasting! Guarding here.
Light planted.
Enemy C.
Blinding!
There.
Fire in the hole!
I will loot. It's not it.
Dusted. My whole ready.
One enemy remaining.
Reloading.
Kill everyone, and our job gets a whole lot easier. Gun here.
Once
I'm
more
outta
into
here.
battle. I'm not tired. Are you?
Let me repair it.
They are so dead.
Do you wanna peek? And I can. Let me.
I must stop their Reina.
Okay, I will. You peek and then I will smoke.
Gotta go!
Launching smoke.
Concussing!
Molly.
Clearing out! Dead.
Enemy spotted B. They found my trap. Healing. Enemy attacker on spawn. Taken down. Spike planted.
One enemy remaining.
There.
Reloading.
Flawless.
They have seen our power.
Surely they can do better.
Gotta go!
And then you're gonna peek.
I'm out of here! Continue to overwhelm them. Kill!
Got you.
I'm gonna go safe.
This way!
Blasting! Flash out!
Last player standing. Spike down, C.
Teleport's ready.
Thirty seconds left.
Shoot the bad guys. How's that for a plan?
Reloading. Quick feet, quick trigger.
Smoke's down.
Go, go, go! Shocking! Get lost!
Right between the eyes.
I'll take down.
Spike down, A.
Clearing out!
Down and out.
Got the spike!
Reloading.
Blinding!
Smoke's down.
Enemy A.
One enemy remaining. Spike down, A.
Teleport's ready.
Where?
You will not
Launching
kill
smoke.
my allies!
One enemy remaining.
3. Not one left standing.
Ugh, I'm over them. Need a drop.
Need a drop.
Airdrop.
Salamat, thanks.
Thanks.
I'm out of here. Shocking.
Trevor!
Get out
Enemy
of my
spotted
way!
B. Enemy A.
Blasting!
Gotcha. Enemy spotted B.
3 on B. Boy.
Away with you.
Launching smoke.
Right there.
Molly.
Enemy spotted A. Open up the sky.
One enemy remaining.
Brief, tragic life.
My ult's ready.
These new friends of ours are not too friendly.
As one. What? My ult's ready.
Better.
Gotta go. Here we go.
Smoke down.
Shortcut.
Plant the spike.
Spike planted.
Barrier clear.
Right there. Smoke's down.
Flash out! Clearing out!
One enemy remaining. Last player standing. Team Ace.
Can you get the OB?
Ain't much room for improvement.
Last round before the switch.
Spend your cash.
Don't look back.
I can buy.
Salamat, thanks.
In we go.
Go, go, go.
Launching smoke.
Enemy A.
Concussing! Blasting!
Smoke's down.
Enemy spotted
Back off.
Next. My ult is ready.
Gotta go.
Plant.
Plant the spike.
Launching smoke.
The hunt begins.
Stim beacon here.
I win again.
Plant.
War rate. They are so dead.
Spike planet. Reloading.
One enemy remaining.
Bagged and tagged.
Switching
I'm
sides.
out of here.
Remember, bullets hurt.
I'll stay B, so I can smoke A and see if you. Just give me focus.
Bonne chance, mes amis.
Barrier created.
Get down. Enemy spotted.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining.
Reloading. I'm out of here.
Spike planted. Last player standing.
Teleport's ready.
Nice. Okay.
Drink some water, reload your mags, and let's get back out there.
Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Lol. I'm maining your normally, but I want to try neon.
Many enemies A.
Concussing! Clearing out!
Enemy is A. Enemy A.
B, B, B, B.
Spike down A.
Blinding!
One enemy remaining.
Spike spotted A.
Nice.
Trust me, they will make mistakes. When they do, take advantage.
Go, go, go.
And they want me to smoke there.
Watch and learn. Many enemies C. Too slow.
Spike down C.
Stage 60.
Out of charges. You will not kill my allies.
Last player standing.
Bomb here.
Spike down A.
Bomb was in C.
One enemy remaining. 30 seconds left. Spike down B.
Who's the old dog now?
Thank you.
Match point.
This has gone on long enough, I think. Does anyone have funds?
I have your back.
Here we go! You lose.
Spike planted.
See.
See. Uh-huh.
See ya. Gunner.
Trevor!
Last player standing.
Save. Nice.
My smokes can block the enemy's line of sight. Once they're blind, we move.
Their Jet is like trash talking me for like when we start. Yeah, I don't understand what's happening. See this? I don't know what's happening.
They are so dead.
Is it it?
Many enemies.
Concussing! Blasting! Flash out!
Spike planted.
Blinding!
I'm enjoying this.
One enemy remaining.
Tuck.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
My ult's ready.
Change of
Defenders win.
You were in my way, so this was inevitable.
Alright, we can play one more. Oh, you have more people? Yes.
السلام عليكم. قدر اخويا بخير. تعاود الله يلا كل شيء بخير الحمد لله.
I first met 50 Cent in the winter of 2006. He had been a fan of my book, The 48 Laws of Power, and he was interested in collaborating on a book project. In the meeting, we talked about war, terrorism, the music business. What struck me most was that we had a remarkably similar way of looking at the world, one that transcended the great differences in our backgrounds. For instance, in discussing the power games he was experiencing at that time in the music business, we both looked past people's benign explanations for their behavior and tried to figure out what they were really up to. He developed this way of thinking on the dangerous streets of Southside Queens where it was a necessary life skill. I came to it by reading a lot of history and observing the crafty maneuvers of various people in Hollywood, where I worked for many years. The perspective, however, is the same. We left the meeting that day with an open-ended idea about a future project. As I pondered the possible theme of this book over the following months, I became increasingly intrigued by the idea of bringing our two worlds together. What excites me about America is its social mobility, people continually rising from the bottom to the top and altering the culture in the process. On another level, however, we remain a nation that lives in social ghettos. Celebrities generally congregate around other celebrities. Academics and intellectuals
هذا تجاوب أتوقع. هذا تجاوب. ايس بوكس واخا هكاك دير لا ما ايس بوكس ولا ديك كورود ولا بينغ. دابا بكورود مزيان. اش كنحمل انا؟ ما عندي كندير سموكات فيها.
Across a
كتجيني
frigid
داكشي نهار.
expanse. Secrets long lost resurface through the shattered ice. The cold is
can hear me, guys?
relentless. Roll to avoid frostbite.
Sorry, I have to whisper. You can hear snoring behind.
Reloading.
Yep. I hate
Reloading.
this map. I'm gonna be shit. Sorry. Oh, this is one of the worst. The end they will go in. Yep.
Bring them down.
Take.
Enemy spotted A. Enemy spotted A.
Spike down A.
Spike spotted A. That's
50 in Killjoy.
One enemy remaining.
Forever! Out of charges.
Aw,
Nice,
thought
good
you'd
job.
try harder.
Simple and clean.
Where are you guys from?
Well done.
Oh, nice. I am from Serbia. Nice to meet you guys.
Time to work.
Reloading.
Marked one.
It's a B. Sorry, it's B.
Drop in a smoke.
Enemies B. Here. Enemy spotted B.
Enemy B.
Enemy B.
Spike down B.
Concussing!
Enemy down. Reloading.
Clearing out!
Refreshing.
One enemy remaining. Flawless.
Good job.
Bravo! You all did the
Beautifully.
I'm faster than Sky's wolves.
One is. Yeah, I'm not sure what is.
Who will I spot first?
B.
Don't pick. Back.
Enemy
Don't
B.
pick. Don't.
It's B.
Enemy spotted B. Enemy B.
Nice shot. Look off in mid.
Reloading.
Maybe rotating.
Here.
Here. Careful
Rotating.
there. Careful there.
I can have my bundle on mute.
Spike planted.
Trevor! Blasting!
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
You can do it. Inside. Okay.
Find the weakest link and kick him in the shin.
Chciałem było wozą toskę. Okay.
In we go.
Maybe it.
Dropping smokes.
Here.
Spike down B. One enemy remaining.
Nice bridge. Ace. Give him ace.
Concussing!
لكن هو قاعد.
Flash out!
Was that their best? How embarrassing.
كان هي فيها.
I tried.
Okay, we know the drill. Stick to your roles and we'll
ما
crush it.
خربت.
I had her, but I didn't want to shoot. I hope that you can get the guys. Well played, by the way, well played.
Reloading. Roll for initiative.
Enemy spotted A.
Enemy attacker spawn.
Bring them down.
Enemy spotted A.
Enemy attack
Rotating. Guys, full rotating.
Enemy spotted A.
Info fate. Jag har för sound. Yeah.
Spike planted.
Blinding!
Enemy spotted A. Reloading. Target down. My ult is ready. Enemy spotted A. Where are you? Back like I never left! They're blinded here.
Concussing!
Clove very low.
Flash out!
Last player standing.
Hey door! My ult's ready. Out
Gotta
of charges.
I'm smoking.
Let's go!
Safety, difficile.
Shut up and
One
do your
enemy
work.
remaining.
Drop in a smoke.
Timing.
You fucked me up
Yous
with
don't get a
ability.
reset button. So stay alive, please.
You hit me when I was.
Need a drop.
Hi! I'm pissed!
Enemy B. Trap destroyed.
Man.
Last player standing.
عشان بلدك اللي بيلعب أوب بزاف. Come on.
Spike planted.
You're nothing.
Good one. Nice one.
Listen up, you muckers. If I don't get back up, just give me a nudge. I might not be dead, just taking a wee tip.
Yeah.
Push them back. Marked one.
Bean?
No peeking.
You should run.
They're blind with
Enemy
fear.
spotted B.
Enemy B.
Skedaddle out.
My ult is ready.
Far enough for me.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
My turn.
Spike down B. Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
Vandal here.
Teleport's ready.
Come on. Father.
Sorry, that was my bad. I
Come
stayed in
on!
you.
Get me in the line of fire.
They are so dead.
Take him.
Info?
هذيك زمان. هذا ايه.
Enemy spotted A.
Spike planted.
Trevor!
I'll find
Blinding!
you. Bring them down.
The hunt begins.
Found one.
Enemy spotted A.
Last player standing.
I hate waiting. Let's do this.
ضروري نجيبو 5-6 ولا
Bonne chance, mes amis.
Don't be. 18.
Concussing! Blasting!
Spike planted.
Watch this! Bring them down. Give me those guns.
Hush.
Double kill.
Noise.
Bring them down. Marked one.
One enemy remaining.
I'm smoke spot.
Drop in a
Defuse,
smoke.
defuse. Someone defuse.
Last player standing.
Just defuse.
Clutch.
Come on. هذا خراب.
You know what we should do? I'll tell you. We should win.
I'm sorry, I fucked it up. I tried to kill Killjoy.
Let's take at least one down with us. I shot somebody. My ult is ready. You're right.
Rotating.
Marked one.
Back like I never left!
Give me kill, give me kill.
One enemy remaining.
No worked up an appetite on that one.
Gun here.
I'll do my job, you do yours. Merci.
شحال؟ 4 نزيدهم بكار زيدهم بعض الأرز ودير ديك السمو كتكيبان لي رجليهم
B. 4 B.
شحال؟
Hi! I'm pissed!
نايس good job
Blinding!
Enemy kill.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
You had your
Enemy
fun.
B.
My turn.
Enemy B.
One enemy remaining.
Refreshing.
Last player standing.
Teleport's ready.
نايس good defuse good job قلت إذا جبنا إذا جبنا 6 راه مزيان الفكرة إن عندهم هي اللي كتصرف وحدها
Last round in the half.
I didn't care how you do it. Just spend all your money. Maybe buy a short here.
يا فاس كان فضل الشامبر
Yes.
can you give me Ask. Ask. I think it's
Hit them
coming.
fast, hit them hard.
سرقة عند البي ولا ميت صابت
Is it it? Is it it?
مد
Enemy spotted.
The hunt begins.
Do better.
Spike down B.
100
One less.
One enemy remaining.
نايس
Where is
No peeking.
go to spawn just come
Last player standing.
spike is here spike you can do it you can do it here
30 seconds left.
I thought she's gonna go B. Fuck.
Switching sides.
They think they're better than us. I can tell.
Here.
Right here. Thank you. Right here.
واحد زي ليز
I need help.
خضرا عندهم مالك كريزات
Where are you? Reloading.
Cutting!
Reloading. Bring them down. Drop in found one.
ضربوه ضرب قصة عنه
Enemy B.
Reloading.
لما تقربهم تمام
They found my trap. Careful there.
Bye. Reloading. Enemy spotted B. Reloading.
Enemy B.
One enemy remaining.
Here.
maybe flank it's okay just play them
Planted!
Behind.
just play them حمل لو ضغط بك جد
Trevor!
check kitchen check kitchen left it's left
Yes.
nice good job
Adi, again. Their fear is a track, and the track is right.
فرصة وقال فرصة ناس
Right there.
هذا بيدي شو ثاني لا خسرين صدرون فرصة
Focus now. Eyes off me.
Where are you? Bring them down. No peeking.
One left.
Passing! Clearing out!
Enemy spotted A. Bam.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining.
job,
That
good job, good job.
sucks.
دعكنا وبدأت
It seems these strangers want me dead. Eh bien,
سيفينا
there
فاندالات
are lots of firsts.
انت ما سيفيتي
No.
انت
Spike's
بدأت
here.
فلوس فاندال احنا راح سنين فلاتك
Oh shite, I lost my pet rock.
فايت كان بلان سباي بلان سباي
Forever!
1 mid.
Oh, spike carrier's down.
Spike down B.
Dropping smoke. I got the spike. Have one of these.
سوري
Bravo!
Enemy spotted B.
She's behind.
روتيت
Reloading.
Enemy spotted B. Down you go.
Flash out! Amateur.
نايس وان كفرات
Concussing!
Planted.
Last player standing.
انا بدك الاثنين انا بدك الكلاف
We get a pick, we move in. Got it?
عندك نيون نورينا وملي واحد مسكتهم اذا ما جالك صعب
Chamber, come with us, please. Don't go in. No reason. Can be.
شفت
Enemy B. Find you.
Worthless.
نايس وان
Marked one.
No peeking.
Go mid.
Blinding!
Enemy B.
Reloading.
Clearing out!
İyi geceler.
عندك
Spike
ذكر في
planted.
النيون يا غا دونت بيك
One on me.
Critical hit. Enemy spotted B.
One enemy remaining.
Marked one.
My ult's ready.
جود جوب
Not one left.
باش قتلت لي كرينا صافي فشلو
These guns are okay, but I will also bring my own. No offense.
قام عنده سكن فاندر
Does anyone have funds?
Where are you? Bring them down.
Smokes.
My ult is ready.
Enemy A.
Bring them down. Catch!
Enemies attack our spawn.
Go behind.
Spike planted. Blasting! That's not ready. That's not ready.
One enemy remaining.
Good job.
Flawless.
Good job. Skin off.
Child's play.
Guys, guys here. Guys here.
One downside to being immortal. I can't play dead.
تركت لنا. تركت لنا.
Here.
Can we fake B and go A with a spike?
Yeah, can you fake? I'm gonna fake A in smoke. I'm gonna fake A in smoke and go.
Okay, don't push B. Don't push B. You're
Yeah,
faking.
I know.
Let's fly.
Go B. Go B. I'll fake A. Hello.
Don't pick.
It's okay, just
Mark two.
Interview slow.
Sophia, back like I never left.
Enemy A.
I have them.
Stay down.
طلقت شيء.
Push B.
Reloading.
Enemy mid.
Reyna is mid.
Someone
Plant the spike.
just plant.
My ult is ready.
Clearing out.
Cover.
Spike
It's okay.
planted.
ارجع طلور عندك إيه. إلا قاع ماتوا هادشي لا ماتوا كلهم بلا ما تبيكي كاع انت سطاني وصافي. ماشي قاع تما كاع رجع لهنا دخل.
Our chamber was behind all one.
Nightmare, take them.
لا اختادك انت صح.
One enemy remaining.
نايس صافي بلا ما تبيكي. صافي نطيم مدين. Good job.
Nice, okay.
It's Rena mid.
Enemy mid.
What are you doing, Chamber?
I reckon I'll take a kip after this. I've earned it.
Does anyone have funds?
Oh, بوز كلاس بقتلها وكينقز. أول مرة نشوف كينقز بكلاس.
Merci.
هذيك الساعة فاش كنتو لاعبين سلاو، دابا نتوما مشيتو من هنا وهذيك جات من هنا. بغيت تقتل.
Keep up.
بعدا رقت. هاي.
I'll find you.
I win again.
My ult is ready.
Bring them down.
Concussing.
What's this?
Blinding.
You should run.
Catch them.
Okay.
Enemy spotted B.
Get out of the room.
Enemy spotted B.
Run me.
Yeah, can I come?
Enemy spotted A.
Bring them down.
I've got your trail. Refreshing.
Spike planted.
Mark one.
Wow, فوز. طلعت سنتي
Blasting.
No peeking.
بات بس هنا بلاد في اوبن.
Forever.
Night. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
لا تقدر تهرب. جو هالف بليز هالفين.
Last player standing.
بوش
She's half. Go.
نايس. خلعتنا نسيت نهار فيها.
You know,
هذا
I could just outlive them. Nah, bullets are
They are so dead.
Chamber, give me one skin, bro. دحيح هذا عنده
I'm here to stay.
الصباح انا فرانسيس مسمومي
Concussing!
We found. Where are you? Reloading. Dropping smokes. Blocking sight.
Spike down B.
The spike!
I have the spike.
Someone
Teleport's
Reloading.
Enemy B. Here.
انت دبل اوب الكلب
Oh. Bam.
دحيح هتخوني
Both mid.
جو ايه
I'm too far.
درك يفكر واحد شوي
30 seconds left.
Spike planted.
كان دويد
Mid.
someone here someone side جد بكره في السايد
One enemy remaining.
زبط
Last one down.
Nice, well played.
ما يستاهل جد
Match point.
Time to say goodbye.
جينا من بيت الله كناش حدا استسبق لا بس لا كنا رافعين نعمل 5-7 وجبناهم
Here.
5 طبنا هبط اوه ليش نحط ولكن ما تقولش بتشكي الايكو
Oh, please. Put one smoke there, please.
Drop in a smoke.
Mark 2.
Reloading. One of these. Take hold.
دبل اوه
No peeking.
فكر في
Enemy. Enemy spotted A. Reloading.
Reloading.
رجع بط
Forever!
Rotate.
Enemy spotted
Here. Lights down.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining. Attackers win.
And we'll do it again and again and a bunch of other times after
لا
that.
ضرب دبل اوف وي ضرب طرحناه ده
Will you guys play more? Will you guys play more? Are you gonna play more?
one more yeah
Okay, okay. Can you give me also like 2-3 minutes? Okay. I will be back in 3 minutes. Thank you.
يبقى فيهاش درية ألا استرخص
intellectuals are cloistered in their worlds. People like to associate with those of their kind about whether people like them. Resources are limited. Everyone is angling for power and trying to get what they can. It is a rough game, and there is no room for being naive or waiting for good things to happen. You learn to take what you need and feel no guilt about it. If you have dreams and ambitions, you know that to realize them you have to get active, make some noise, bruise a few people in your path. And you expect others to do the same to you. It is human nature, and instead of complaining, you simply must get better at protecting yourself. We all face a similar competitive dynamic. People all around us are struggling to advance their interests, but because our fights are more subtle and veiled, we tend to lose sight of the harsh aspects of the game. We are often too trusting in others in a future that will bring good things. We could use some of the toughness and realism that people who grow up in pressurized environments have. A simple line can be drawn: we all have ambitions and large goals for ourselves. We are either waiting for some perfect moment to realize them, or we are taking action in the present. This action requires some aggressive energy channeled in a smart manner and the willingness to displease a person or two who gets in our way. If we are waiting and settling for what we have, it is not because we are good and nice, but because we are fearful. We need to get rid of the fear and guilt we might have for asserting ourselves. It serves no purpose except to keep us down. The fearless types in history have often had to face a lot of hostility in their lives, and in doing so they invariably discover the critical role that one's attitude plays in thwarting people's aggression. Look at Richard Wright, the first best-selling African-American writer in U.S. history. His father abandoned his mother shortly after Wright's birth in 1908, and Wright knew only poverty and starvation as a child. His uncle, with whom they lived, was lynched by a white mob, and his family, Wright and his mother and brother, was forced to flee from Arkansas and wander across the South. When his mother fell ill and became an invalid, he was shunted from family to family, even spending time in an orphanage. The family members who took him in, themselves poor and frustrated, beat him incessantly. His classmates at school, sensing he was different, he liked to read books and was shy, taunted and ostracized him. At work, his white employers subjected him to endless indignities, such as beatings and dismissals from the job for no apparent reason. These experiences created in him intricate layers of fear. But as he read more books about the wider world and thought more deeply, a different spirit rose inside of him, a need to rebel and not accept the status quo. When an uncle threatened to beat him over a triviality, he decided he had had enough. Although just a child, he clutched 2 razor blades in his hands and told the uncle he was prepared to go down fighting. He was never bothered by that uncle again. Seeing the power he had with such an attitude, he now made it something more calculated and under control. When conditions at work became impossible, he would leave the job, a sign of impertinence to the white employers who spread word of this around town. He didn't care if people thought he was different. He was proud of it. Feeling like he was going to be trapped in Jackson, Mississippi, for the rest of his life and yearning to escape to the north, he became a criminal for the first and last time in his life, stealing enough to pay his way out of town. He felt more than justified in doing this. This spirit permeated his life to the very end. As a successful writer now living in Chicago, he felt that his novels were being misread by the white public. They invariably found a way to soften his message about racial prejudices, to see what they wanted to see in his work. He realized he had been holding back, tailoring his words to appeal to them. He had to rise again above this fear of pleasing others and write a book that could not be misread, that would be as bleak as the life he had known. This became Native Son, his most famous and successful novel. What Wright had discovered was simple. When you submit in spirit to aggressors or to an unjust and impossible situation, you do not buy yourself any real peace. You encourage people to go further, to take more from you, to use you for their own purposes. They sense your lack of self-respect and they feel justified in mistreating you. When you are humble, you reap the wages of humility. You must develop the opposite, a fighting stance that comes from deep within and cannot be shaken. You force some respect. This is how it is in life for everyone. People will take from you what they can. If they sense that you are the type of person who accepts and submits, They will push and push until they have established an exploitative relationship with you. Some will do this overtly. Others are more slippery and passive-aggressive. You must demonstrate to them that there are lines that cannot be crossed. They will pay a price for trying to push you around. This comes from your attitude, fearless and always prepared to fight. It radiates outward and can be read in your manner without you having to speak a word. By a paradoxical law of human nature, trying to please people less will make them more likely in the long run to respect and treat you better. Keys to fearlessness. Or how we live is so far removed from how we ought to live, that he who abandons what is done for what ought to be done will rather learn to bring about his own ruin than his preservation. A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good. Therefore, it is necessary for a prince who wishes to maintain himself to learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge and not use it, according to the necessity of the case. Niccolò Machiavelli. When it comes to morality, almost all of us experience a split in our consciousness. On one hand, we understand the need to follow certain basic codes of behavior that have been in place for centuries. We try our best to live by them. On the other hand, we also sense that the world has become infinitely more competitive than anything our parents or grandparents have known. To get ahead in this world, we must be willing to occasionally bend that moral code, to play with appearances, to hedge the truth and make ourselves look better, to manipulate a person or two to secure our position. The culture at large reflects this division. It emphasizes values of cooperation and decency, while titillating us constantly in the media with endless stories of those who have risen to the top by being bad and ruthless. We are both drawn to and repulsed by these stories. This split creates an ambivalence and awkwardness in our actions. We are not very good at being either good or bad. When we do the manipulative acts that are necessary, it is with half a heart and some guilt. We are not sure how to operate in this way, when to play the more aggressive role or how far to go. The great 16th century Florentine writer Niccolò Machiavelli noticed a similar phenomenon in his day, on a different level. Italy had splintered into several city-states that were constantly intriguing for power. It was a dangerous, complicated environment for a leader. In facing a rival state, a prince had to be extremely careful. He knew that these rivals would do anything to advance their interests, including cutting deals with others to isolate or destroy him. He had to be ready to attempt any kind of maneuver to protect his state. At the same time, he was imbued with Christian values. He had to juggle two codes of behavior, one for private life and another for the game of power. This made for awkwardness. Nobody really defined the moral parameters for how to defend and advance his state. If he became too aggressive, he would look bad on the world stage and suffer for it. If he was too good and gentle, his state could be overrun by a rival, bringing misery for his citizenry. For Machiavelli, the problem wasn't a leader adjusting his morality to the circumstance. Everyone does that. It was that he did not do it well. Too often he would be aggressive when he needed to be cunning, or vice versa. He would not recognize in time the once friendly state that was now plotting against him, and his response would be too desperate. When a venture succeeds, people tend to overlook some of the nasty tactics you were forced to use. When a venture fails, those same tactics become scrutinized and condemned. A prince or leader must first and foremost be effective in his actions, and to do so he must master the art of knowing when and how to be bad. This requires some fearlessness and flexibility. When the situation calls for it, he must be the lion, aggressive and direct in protecting his state, or grabbing something to secure its interests. At other times, he has to be the fox, getting his way through crafty maneuvers that disguise his aggression. And often he must play the lamb, the meek, deferential, and good creature exalted in culture. He is bad in the right way, calibrated to the situation, and careful to make his actions look justified to the public, reserving his nastier tactics for behind the scenes. If he masters the art of being bad, he uses it sparingly and he creates more peace and power for his citizens than the awkward prince who tries to be too good. This should be the model for us as well. We are all now princes competing with thousands of rival states. We have our aggressive impulses, our desires for power. These impulses are dangerous.
Are we good to go?
If we act upon them unconsciously or awkwardly, we can create endless problems for ourselves. We must learn to recognize the situations that require assertive, yet controlled actions, and which mode of attack, fox or lion, is suitable. The following are the most common foes and scenarios that you will encounter in which some form of badness is required to defend or advance yourself. Aggressors. By 1935, there were some on the left in the United States who had grown discontented with President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's reforms, known as the New Deal. They believed these reforms were not working fast enough. They decided to band together to form what would later be known as the Union Party, to galvanize this discontent. They were going to run against FDR in 1936, and the threat was very real that they would gain enough support to throw the election to the Republicans. Within this group was Huey Long, the great populist senator from Louisiana, and Father Charles Coughlin, the Catholic priest who had a popular radio program. Their ideas were vaguely socialistic and appealed to many who felt disenfranchised during the Great Depression. Their attacks on FDR began to have effect. His poll numbers went down. Feeling emboldened, they became even more aggressive and relentless in their campaign. In the midst of this, FDR remained mostly silent, letting them fill the air with their charges and threats. His advisors panicked. They felt he was being too passive. But for Roosevelt, it was part of a plan. He felt certain that the public would grow tired of their shrill attacks as the months went on. He sensed that the factions within the Union Party would begin to fight among themselves as the election neared. He ordered his surrogates to not attack these men. At the same time, he went to work behind the scenes. In Louisiana, he fired as many Long supporters working for the government as possible and replaced them with those on his side. He launched detailed investigations into the senator's dubious financial affairs. With Coughlin, he worked to isolate him from other notable Catholic priests, making him look like a fringe radical. He introduced laws that forced Coughlin to get an operating permit to broadcast his shows. The government found reasons to deny his requests and temporarily silenced him. All of this served to confuse and frighten FDR's foes. As he had predicted, the party began to splinter and the public lost interest. Roosevelt won the 1936 election in an unprecedented landslide. FDR had understood the basic principle in squaring off against aggressors who are direct and relentless. If you meet them head-on, you are forced to fight on their terms. Unless you happen to be an aggressive type, you are generally at a disadvantage against those who have simple ideas and fierce energy. It is best to fight them in an indirect manner, concealing your intentions and doing what you can behind the scenes, hidden from the public, to create obstacles and sow confusion. Instead of reacting, you must give aggressors some space to go. Further with their attacks, getting them to expose themselves in the process and provide you plenty of juicy targets to hit. If you become too active and forceful in response, you look defensive. You are playing the fox to their lion. Remaining cool and calculating, doing whatever you can to make them more emotional and baiting them to fall apart through their own reckless energy. Passive aggressors. These types are masters at disguise. They present themselves as weak and helpless, or highly moral and righteous, or friendly and ingratiating. This makes them hard to pick out at first glance. They send all kinds of mixed signals, alternating between friendly, cool, and hostile, creating confusion and conflicting emotions. If you try to call them on their behavior, they use this confusion to make you feel guilty, as if you were the one who was the source of the problem. Once you are drawn into their dramas with your emotions engaged, it can be very difficult to detach yourself. The key is recognizing them in time to take appropriate action. When the Grand Duchess Catherine, future Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great, met her husband-to-be, Peter, she felt he was an innocent child at heart. He continued to play with toy soldiers and had a petulant, moody temperament. Then shortly after their marriage in 1745, she began to detect a different side to his character. In private, they got along well enough. But then she would hear from second-hand sources all kinds of nasty stories about how he had regretted their marriage and how he preferred her chambermaid. What was she to believe, these stories or his geniality when they were together? After he became Tsar Peter III, he would graciously invite Catherine to visit him in the morning, but then he would ignore her. When the royal gardener stopped delivering her favorite fruits, she found out it was on his orders. Peter was doing everything he could to make her life miserable and humiliate her in subtle ways. Fortunately, Catherine figured out early on that he was a master manipulator. His childish exterior was clearly there to distract attention from his petty, vindictive core. His goal, she believed, was to bait her into doing something rash that would give him an excuse to isolate or get rid of her. She decided to bide her time, be as gracious as possible, and win over some key allies in the court and the military, many of whom had come to despise the Tsar. Finally, certain of her allies' support, she instigated a coup that would get rid of him once and for all. When it became clear that the military had sided with Catherine and that he was to be arrested, Peter started to beg and plead with her. He would change his ways and they would rule together. She did not reply. He sent another message saying he would abdicate, if only he could return peacefully to his own estate with his mistress. She refused to bargain. He was arrested and soon thereafter murdered by one of the coup intriguers, perhaps with the approval of the Empress. Catherine was a classic fearless type. She understood that, with passive aggressors, you must not get emotional and drawn into their endless intrigues. If you respond indirectly with a kind of passive aggression yourself, you play into their hands. They are better at this game than you are. Being underhanded and tricky only spurs on their insecurities and intensifies their vindictive nature. The only way to treat these types is to take bold, uncompromising action that either discourages further nonsense or sends them running away. They respond only to power and leverage. Having allies higher up the chain can serve as a means of blocking them. You are playing the lion to their fox, making them afraid of you. They see there will be real consequences if they continue their behavior in any form. To recognize such types, look for extremes in behavior that are not natural, too kind, too ingratiating, too moral. These are most likely disguises that are worn to deflect attention from their true nature. Better to be proactive and take precautionary measures the moment you feel they are trying to get into your life. Unjust situations. Sometime in the early 1850s, Abraham Lincoln came to the conclusion that the institution of slavery was the great stain on our democracy and had to be eliminated. But as he surveyed the political landscape, he became concerned. The politicians on the left were too noisy and righteous. In their fervor to promote abolition, they would polarize the country, and the slaveholders could easily exploit these political divisions to maintain their way of life for decades. Lincoln was the consummate realist. If your goal is to end an injustice, you have to aim for results, and that requires being strategic and even deceptive. To end slavery, he would be willing to do almost anything. He decided he was the politician best suited for this cause. His first step was to present a moderate front to the public in the 1860 campaign and after his election to the presidency. He gave the impression that his main goal was to maintain the Union and to gradually phase slavery out of existence through a policy of containment. When war became inevitable in 1861, he decided to lay a clever trap for the South, baiting them into an attack on Fort Sumter that would force him to declare war. This made it seem that the North was the victim of aggression. All of these maneuvers were designed to keep his support in the North relatively unified. To oppose him was to oppose his efforts to defeat the South and maintain the Union, the slavery issue slipping into the background. This unified front on his side made it almost impossible for the enemy to play political games. As the tide of the war turned in favor of the North, he gradually shifted to more radical positions, stated in the Emancipation Proclamation and his Gettysburg Address, knowing he had more leeway to reveal his real goals and act on them. Leading the North to victory in the war, he had even more room to continue his campaign. In sum, to defeat slavery, Lincoln was prepared to publicly manipulate opinion by concealing his intentions and to practice outright deceit in his political maneuverings. This required great fearlessness and patience on his part, as almost everyone misread his intentions and criticized him as an opportunist. Some still do. In facing an unjust situation, you have two options. You can loudly proclaim your intentions to defeat the people behind it, making yourself look good and noble in the process. But in the end, this tends to polarize the public. You create one hardened enemy for every sympathizer won over to the cause, and it makes your intentions obvious. If the enemy is crafty, this makes it almost impossible. To defeat them, Or, if it is results you are after, you must learn instead to play the fox, letting go of your moral purity. You resist the pull to get emotional, and you craft strategic maneuvers designed to win public support. You shift your position to suit the circumstance, baiting the enemy into actions that will win you sympathy. You conceal your intentions. Think of it as war short of unnecessary violence. You are called to do whatever it takes to defeat the enemy. There is no nobility in losing if an injustice is allowed to prevail. Static situations. In any venture, people quickly create rules and conventions that must be followed. This is often necessary to instill some discipline and order. But most often these rules and conventions are arbitrary. They are based on something that was successful in the past but might have little relevance to the present. They are often instruments for those in power to maintain their grip and keep the group unified. If this goes on long enough, they become stultifying and crowd out any new ways for doing things. In such a situation, what is called for is the total destruction of these dead conventions, creating space for something new. In other words, you must be the complete lion, as bad as can be. This was how several important black jazz musicians, such as Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk, and Dizzy Gillespie, responded to the musical conventions that had hardened in the early 1940s. From its more freewheeling earlier days, jazz had become co-opted by white performers and audiences. The sound that became popular, big band, swing, was more controlled and regimented. To make any money in the business, you had to play by the rules and perform these popular genres. But even those black musicians who followed the conventions were still paid considerably less than their white counterparts. The only way around this oppressive situation was to destroy it with a completely new sound, in this case with something that later became known as bebop. This new genre went against all the current conventions. The music was wild and improvisatory. As it became popular, it gave these musicians some space to perform on their own terms and some control over their careers. Now the static situation was broken and the field was left open to the great jazz innovations of the 1950s and 60s. In general, you must be less respectful of the rules that other people have established. They do not necessarily fit the times or your temperament. And there is great power to be had by being the one to initiate a new order. Impossible dynamics. Sometimes in life you find yourself in a negative situation that cannot be improved no matter what you do. You might find yourself working for people who are irrational. Their actions seem to serve no purpose apart from imposing their power and making you miserable. Everything you do is wrong. Or it could be a relationship in which you are constantly forced to rescue a person. This usually involves types who present themselves as weak victims in need of attention and assistance. They stir up a lot of drama around them. No matter what you do, the need to be rescued keeps recurring. You can recognize this dynamic by your emotional need to somehow solve the problem, mixed with your complete frustration in finding any kind of reasonable answer. In truth, the only viable solution is to terminate the relationship. No arguing, no bargaining, no compromising. You leave the job, there are always others. You leave the person who is tormenting you with as much finality as possible. Resist the temptation to feel any guilt. You need to create as much distance as possible so they cannot inveigle these emotions into you. They must become dead to you so you can go on with your life. Reversal of perspective. The problem with confrontational moments and why we often seek to avoid them is that they churn up a lot of unpleasant emotions. We feel personally aggrieved that someone is trying to hurt or harm us. This makes us wonder about ourselves and feel insecure. Did we deserve this in some way? If we go through a few of these unpleasant moments, we become increasingly skittish. But this is really a problem of perception. In our own inner turmoil, we tend to exaggerate the negative intentions of our opponents. In general, we take conflicts far too personally. People have problems and traumas that they carry with them from their childhood on. Most often, when they do something to harm or block us, it really is not directed at us personally. It comes from some unfinished business from the past or deep insecurities. We happen to cross their path at the wrong moment. It is essential that you develop the reverse perspective. Life naturally involves conflicting interests. People have their own issues, their own agendas, and they collide with yours. Instead of taking this personally or concerning yourself with people's intentions, you must simply work to protect and advance yourself in this competitive game, this bloody arena. Focus your attention on their maneuvers and how to deflect them. When you have to resort to something that isn't conventionally moral, it is just another maneuver you are executing in the game, nothing to feel guilty about. You accept human nature and the idea that people will resort to aggression. This calm, detached perspective will make it that much easier to design the perfect strategy for blunting their aggression. With your emotions unscathed by these battles, you will grow accustomed to them and will even take some pleasure in fighting them well. In the ring, our opponents can gouge us with their nails or butt us with their heads and leave a bruise. But we don't denounce them for it or get upset with them or regard them from then on as violent types. We just keep an eye on them, not out of hatred or suspicion, just keeping a friendly distance. We need to do that in other areas. We need to excuse what our sparring partners do and just keep our distance, without suspicion or hatred. Marcus Aurelius, Chapter 6. Lead from the front, authority. In any group, the person on top consciously or unconsciously sets the tone. If leaders are fearful, hesitant to take any risks, or overly concerned for their ego and reputation, then this invariably filters its way through the entire group and makes effective action impossible. Complaining and haranguing people to work harder has a counterproductive effect. You must adopt the opposite style. Imbue your troops with the proper spirit through your actions, not words. They see you working harder than anyone, holding yourself to the highest standards, taking risks with confidence, and making tough decisions. This inspires and binds the group together. In these democratic times, you must practice what you preach, the hustler king. No man can properly command an army from the rear. He must be at the front, at the very head of the army. He must be seen there, and the effect of his mind and personal energy must be felt by every officer and man present with it. General William T. Sherman. By the spring of 1991, young Curtis Jackson had proved himself to be one of the savviest hustlers in the neighborhood. His pool of repeat customers had increased to a point where he had to hire his own crew to keep up with their demand. But as he knew, nothing good ever lasts too long in the hood. Just as Curtis was making plans to expand his business, an older hustler named Wayne began to make threatening gestures towards him. Wayne had recently returned to the streets from prison. He was determined to make as much money as fast as possible and then dominate the local drug trade. Curtis, it seemed, was his main rival. He tried to intimidate the younger hustler, warning him that he better curtail his operations or pay a price. Curtis ignored him. Then Wayne decided to up the ante. He sent out word on the street that he was going to have Curtis killed. Curtis had seen this happen before and he knew what would happen next. Wayne would never do the job himself. He could not risk a return to prison. Instead, he was banking on the fact that some young kid would hear of his desire to kill Curtis and, eager to gain some street credibility, would take it upon himself to do the dirty work. Sure enough, a few days after hearing of Wayne's intentions, Curtis noticed a young kid named Nitty trailing him on the streets. He felt certain that Nitty was the one planning to do the hit, and it would happen soon. This was the depressing dynamic of hustling in the hood. The more success a hustler had, the more he attracted the wrong kind of attention. Unless he inspired some fear and terror, rivals would keep coming at him, trying to take what he had and continually threatening his position on the streets. Once that started to happen, the once successful dealer would find himself drawn into a cycle of violence, reprisals, and time in the pen. There were a few hustlers, however, who had somehow managed to rise above this dynamic. In the hood, they were like kings. Just hearing their names or seeing them on the street would elicit a gut reaction, a mix of fright and admiration. What elevated them above others was a series of actions they had taken in the past that demonstrated they were fearless and smart. Their maneuvers would be unpredictable and all the more terrifying for it. If people thought of challenging them, they would quickly remember what these types had done in other circumstances and back off. All of this would give them an aura of power and mystery. Instead of challengers on all sides, they would have disciples ready to follow them as far as they wanted. If Curtis saw himself as the kingly type, it was time now to show it to others, as dramatically as possible. With death staring him in the face, He worked to control his emotions and thought long and hard about the dilemma that Wayne had posed. If instead he went after Nitty and killed him, the police would catch Curtis and he would end up in prison for a long time, an equally fortunate result for Wayne. And if he did nothing, Nitty would finish him off. But Wayne's strategy had a fatal flaw: his fear of doing the job with his own hands. He was no king himself, but just another frightened hustler pretending to be tough. Curtis would come after him from an unexpected angle and turn everything around. Without wasting any more time, he asked a member of his crew named Tony to accompany him that afternoon. Together they surprised Nitty on the street, and while Tony held him, Curtis slashed the kid in the face with a razor blade. He did it just deep enough to send him screaming to the hospital and to leave a nice scar for a while. Then a few hours later, he and Tony found Wayne's empty car and shot it up. An ambiguous message that meant either they hoped he was inside or they were taunting him to come out and attack them in the open. The following day, the dominoes fell just as Curtis thought they would. Nitty sought out Wayne, expecting that the two of them would then go together to exact revenge on Curtis. After all, Wayne had been attacked as well. Wayne, however, still insisted the kid do it alone. Now Nitty could see through the game. He was just the patsy to do the dirty work, and Wayne was not as tough as he had made himself out to be. Nitty would have nothing more to do with him, but he was also too afraid to take on Curtis by himself. He decided he could live with the scar. Wayne was now in a delicate position. If he asked someone else to do the job, it would start to look like what it was: a man too scared to do it himself. Better to let the whole thing just go away. In the days to come, the hood was abuzz with the story of what had happened. Young Curtis had outmaneuvered and outsmarted the older rival. Unlike the latter, he was unafraid to do the violence himself. What he had done was bold and dramatic. It had come out of nowhere. Every time people would see Nitty on the streets with the long scar on his face, they were reminded of the incident. Rivals would now have to think twice before challenging his status. He showed he was tough and crafty. And those in his crew were duly impressed with his sang-froid and how he had turned the situation around. They now saw him differently, as somebody who could last in this jungle and was worth following. Curtis followed this up with other similar actions, and slowly he elevated himself above the other hustlers. Now there were younger ones who looked up to him and would soon form the core of a devoted band of disciples who would help him in his transition into music. After the success of his first album in 2003, Curtis, now known as 50 Cent, began to realize his dream of forging a business empire. But as this took shape in the months and years to follow, he began to feel that something was wrong. It would be natural to believe that with his current position and fame, those working for him would simply follow his lead and do what he wanted. But his whole life had been a lesson in the opposite. People continually take from you. They doubt your powers and challenge you. In this environment, his executives and managers were not trying to take his money or his life, but rather he had the feeling they were nibbling away at his power, trying to soften his image and make him more corporate and predictable. If he let this go on, he would lose the only quality that made him different: his propensity to take risks and do the unexpected. He might become a safe investment, but he would no longer be a leader and a creative force. In this world, you cannot relax and rest on your name, your past achievements, your title. You have to fight to impose your difference and compel people to follow your lead. All of these thoughts became painfully clear to him in the summer of 2007. His third album, Curtis, was to be released in September of that year, and everyone seemed to be asleep. The record label, Interscope, was acting as if the album would sell itself. His management team had put together a marketing campaign that he felt was too tame, passive, and corporate. They were trying to control too much. Then one August afternoon, an employee at G-Unit Records, 50's own label within Interscope, told him that a video from the upcoming album somehow just got leaked to the internet. If it spread, it would mess up the carefully orchestrated rollout of songs that had been planned for that month. 50 was the first to hear of this, and after contemplating what to do next, he decided it was finally time to shake up the dynamic, do the unpredictable, and play the part of the hustler king. He called into his office his radio and internet team at G-Unit. Instead of working to contain the viral spread of the video, the usual response to such a problem and what management would advocate, He ordered them to surreptitiously leak it to other sites and let it spread like wildfire. On top of this move, they created the following story to tell journalists for public consumption. When 50 heard of the leak, he flew into a wild rage. He threw his phone at the window with such force he cracked it. He tore the plasma TV off the wall and smashed it into pieces. He left the building in a fit, and the last thing they heard him yelling was that he was shutting it all down and going on vacation. That evening, on 50's orders, they had the maintenance man for the building take pictures of the damage, all faked for this purpose, and then leaked the photos to the internet. They were to keep all of this a secret. Not even management was to know that this drama was completely manufactured. In the days to come, 50 watched with satisfaction as this story spread everywhere. Interscope was awakened from its slumber. Management was sent the message that he was now in command. If he refused to do any more publicity, as he had threatened, their whole campaign was doomed. They had to follow his lead here and let him set the tone for the publicity, which meant something more aggressive and fluid. Among 50's executives and employees, word spread quickly of what had supposedly happened. His reputation for being unpredictable and violent brought to life. When they now saw him in the offices, they felt a twinge of fear. Better to pay attention to what he wanted than risk witnessing his anger. And for the public, this was just the kind of story they expected from the thug rapper. Compelled their attention. They could laugh at his out-of-control antics, not realizing that it was 50, directing the drama, who would have the last laugh. The fearless approach. When I reached the top in business, I adjusted to my new position. I became bolder and crazier than before, and I listened even less to people who tried to slow me down. 50 Cent. Throughout history, we have witnessed the following pattern. Certain people stand out from the crowd because of some special skill or talent that they have. Perhaps they are masters at the political game, knowing how to charm and win the proper allies. Or maybe they have superior technical knowledge in their field. Or maybe they are the ones who initiate some bold venture that has success. In any event, these types suddenly find themselves in leadership positions, something for which their past experience and education has not prepared them. Now they are alone and on the top, their every decision and action scrutinized by the group and the public. The pressures can be intense. And what inevitably happens is that many of them unconsciously succumb to all kinds of fears. Whereas before they might have been bold and creative, now they grow cautious and conservative, aware of the heightened stakes. Secretly scared of being held accountable for the success of the group, they overdelegate, poll everyone for their opinions, or refrain from making the hard decisions. Or they become excessively dictatorial, trying to control everything, another sign of weakness and insecurity. It is the story of great senators who make lousy presidents, bold lieutenants who turn into mediocre generals, or top-level managers who become incompetent executives. And yet among the group there are inevitably a few who demonstrate the opposite. They rise to the position, displaying extraordinary leadership skills that no one had suspected were in them. We find in this group people like Napoleon Bonaparte, Mahatma Gandhi, and Winston Churchill. What links these people together is not some mysterious skill or bit of knowledge, but rather a quality of character, a temperament that reveals the essence of the art. They are fearless. They do not shrink from making the hard decisions by themselves. Instead, they seem to relish such responsibility. They do not suddenly become more conservative, but in fact show a propensity for bold action. They exhibit tremendous grace under fire. Such types come to understand in various ways that a leader has a unique power that generally goes untapped. Any group tends to assume the spirit and energy of the person on top. If that person is weak and passive, then the group tends to splinter into factions. If such leaders lack confidence, their insecurities tend to filter their way down the line. Their nervous, fretful moods put everyone on edge. But there is always the opposite possibility. A leader who is audacious, out in front, and setting the tone and agenda for the group sparks a higher energy level and confidence. Such a person on top does not need to yell or push people around. Those below want to follow his or her lead because it is strong and inspiring. In war, where leadership skills are more immediately apparent and necessary because lives are at stake, we can distinguish two leadership styles, from behind or from the front. The former type of general likes to stay in his tent or headquarters and bark out orders, feeling that having such distance makes it easier to command. This style can also mean involving lieutenants and other generals in important decisions, choosing to lead by committee. In both cases, the commander is trying to hide himself from scrutiny, accountability, and danger. The greatest generals in history, however, are invariably those who lead from the front and by themselves. They can be seen by the troops at the head of the army, exposing themselves to the same fate as any foot soldier. The Duke of Wellington said that the mere appearance of Napoleon Bonaparte at the head of his army translated into the equivalent of an additional 40,000 men. A kind of electrical charge passes through the troops. He is sharing in their sacrifices, leading by example. It has almost religious connotations. We notice the same two styles in business and politics as well. The executives who lead from behind will always try to disguise it as a virtue. The need for secrecy, or their desire to be more fair and democratic. But it really stems from fear, and it invariably leads to a lack of respect from those below. The opposite style, leading from the front and by example, has the same power in the office as it does on the battlefield. Leaders who work harder than anyone else, who practice what they preach, who are not afraid to be accountable for tough decisions or to take risks, will find they have created a well of respect that will pay great dividends down the road. They can ask for sacrifices, punish troublemakers, and make occasional mistakes all without facing the usual grumbling and doubts. They don't have to yell, complain, and force their men and women to follow. People do so willingly. In urban environments such as Southside Queens, respect is an extremely important issue. In other places, your background, education, or resume might lend you some authority and credibility, but not in the hood. There, everyone starts from zero. To gain respect from your peers, you must repeatedly prove yourself. People are constantly prone to doubting your abilities and your power. You must show again and again that you have what it takes to thrive and to last. Big words and promises mean nothing. Only actions carry weight. If you are authentic, as tough as you seem to be, then you will earn the respect that will make people back off and make your life that much easier. This should be your perspective as well. You start with nothing in this world. Any titles, money, or privilege you inherit are actually hindrances. They delude you into believing you are owed respect. If you continue to impose your will, because of such privileges, people will come to disdain and despise you. Instead, only your actions can prove your worth. They tell people who you are. You must imagine that you are continually being challenged to show that you deserve the position you occupy. In a culture full of fakery and hype, you will stand out as someone authentic and worthy of respect. The greatest leaders in history all inevitably learned by experience the following lesson. It is much better to be feared and respected than to be loved. As a prime example, look at the film director John Ford, the man behind some of the greatest films in Hollywood history. The task of film directors can be particularly difficult. They have to deal with large crews, actors with their delicate egos, and dictatorial producers who want to meddle every step of the way, all the while being under extreme time limits and with large amounts of money at stake. The tendency for directors is to give ground on these various battlefields, to placate and cajole the actors, to let the producers have their way here and there, to gain some cooperation by being pleasant and likable. Ford was by nature a sensitive and empathetic man, but he learned that if he revealed this side of his personality, he quickly lost control over the final product. The actors and producers would begin to assert themselves, and the film would lose any sense of cohesion. He noticed that the notoriously nice directors never really lasted very long. They were pushed around and their films were lousy. Early on in his career, he decided he would have to forge a kind of mask for himself, that of a man who was implacable and even a bit frightening. On the set, he made it clear he was not the usual prima donna director. He would work longer hours than anyone. If they were filming on some location with harsh conditions, he would sleep in a tent like everyone else and share their bad food. On occasion, he would get into violent fistfights on the set, most often with his leading actors such as John Wayne. These fights were not for show. They were bruising, and he engaged in them with all his strength, making the actors fight back with equal force. This would set a tone. An actor would tend to feel embarrassed by engaging in his usual prissy behavior and ego tantrums. Everyone was treated the same. Even the Archduke of Austria, trying to carve out a career as a Hollywood actor, was yelled at and pushed into a ditch by Ford himself. He had a unique way of directing actors. He would say only a few well-chosen words about what he wanted from them. Then, if they did the wrong thing on the set, he would brutally humiliate them in front of everyone. They quickly learned they had to pay attention to the few words he spoke and to his body language on the set, which would often tell more. They had to raise their levels of concentration and bring even more of themselves into the part. Once, when the famous producer Samuel Goldwyn visited the set, he told Ford he just wanted to watch him work, a producer's way of spying and applying pressure. Ford didn't say a word. The next day, however, he visited Goldwyn in his office and just sat silently in the chair by Goldwyn's desk, glaring at him. After a while, Goldwyn, exasperated, asked him what he was doing. He just wanted to watch Goldwyn work, Ford answered. Goldwyn never visited him again on the set and quickly learned to give him his space. All of this had a strange and paradoxical effect on the cast and crew. They came to love working for John Ford and would die to gain a place among his exclusive team of return staff. His standards were so high it forced them to work harder. He made them superior actors and technicians. An occasional nice gesture or compliment on his part carried double the weight and would be remembered for a lifetime. The end results of his tough and unforgiving manner was that he managed to maintain a higher degree of control over the final product than most other directors, and his films were consistently of the highest quality. Nobody dared to challenge his authority, and he lasted in Hollywood as the king of westerns and action films for well over 40 years. An unprecedented achievement in the industry. Understand, to be a leader often requires making tough choices, getting people to do things against their will. If you have chosen the soft, pleasing, compliant style of leadership, out of fear of being disliked, you will find yourself with less and less room to compel people to work harder or make sacrifices. If you suddenly try to be tough, they often feel wounded and personally upset. They can move from love to hate. The opposite approach yields the opposite result. If you build a reputation for toughness and getting results, people might resent you, but you will establish a foundation of respect. You are demonstrating genuine qualities of leadership that speak to everyone. Now, with time and a well-founded authority, you have room to back off and reward people, even to be nice. When you do so, it will be seen as a genuine gesture, not an attempt to get people to like you, and it will have double the effect. Keys to fearlessness. For it is a general rule of human nature that people despise those who treat them well and look up to those who make no concessions. Thuridides. Thousands of years ago, our most primitive ancestors formed groups for power and protection. But as these groups got larger, they encountered a problem with human nature that plagues us to this day. Individuals have different levels of talent, ambition, and assertiveness. Their interests do not necessarily converge on all points. When it comes to the important decisions upon which the fate of the tribe hangs, the members will often think of their own narrow agendas. A group of humans is always on the verge of splintering into a chaos of divergent interests. For this purpose, leaders were chosen to make the hard decisions and end all the dissension. But the members of the tribe would inevitably feel ambivalence towards their leaders. They saw the necessity for them and the respect that should be paid to their authority, but they feared that their chieftains and kings would accumulate too much power and oppress them. They often wondered why this particular person or family deserved such a lofty position. In many ancient cultures, the king was ritually put to death after a few years to ensure he would not turn into an oppressor. In more advanced ancient civilizations, there were constant rebellions against those in power, much more intense and numerous than anything we have known in the modern era. Of all the leaders in ancient times who had to deal with such difficulties, none stands out more than Moses. He had been chosen by God to lead the Hebrews out of slavery in Egypt and to the Promised Land. Although the Hebrews suffered in Egypt, they had relative security. Moses rescued them from this predictable life and set them to wander for 40 years in the wilderness, where they were plagued by a lack of food, shelter, and basic comforts. They constantly doubted Moses and even came to hate him, some plotting to kill him as the king who needed to be sacrificed. They saw him as an oppressor and madman. To aid his cause, God would perform regular miracles to show that Moses was chosen and blessed. But these miracles were quickly forgotten, and the Hebrews kept resorting to their endless complaining and recalcitrance. To overcome the seemingly impossible obstacles in his path, Moses resorted to a unique solution. He united the 12 constantly divided tribes around a single, simple cause, one God to worship, and the attainable goal of reaching the Promised Land. He was not there for power or glory, but merely to lead them to this much-desired goal. Moses could not afford to absent himself for a day or two, or to ease up on his leadership. The tribes were continually prone to doubt him and forget the larger picture, the reason for their suffering. The Hebrew word for lead means to be out in front, to drive. He had to be out there constantly in the vanguard, unifying them around his vision of the promised land. This meant being ruthless with internal dissenters, putting whole families to death that stood in the way of the larger cause. In essence, Moses learned to play a role for the Hebrews, the man who is possessed of a vision from God, indomitable in spirit, and acting for the greater good. A normal tribe member would have to ask him or herself if this promised land was not something that existed merely in Moses's mind. But the force of his conviction and the determination to lead people to the promised land made it hard to doubt him. He had to play this role to the hilt to convince them his top position was legitimate and sanctioned by God. His ability to lead such a fractious group for some 40 years has to be considered the greatest masterpiece of leadership in history.